goes. And we are live. Hello, this is Spider of Crescendo Games. Welcome to another chapter of The Dragon's Fire. We're currently waiting to see if Tasha will show up. She said she would, so we'll see how this goes. If she doesn't, well, while the players are away, the Weaver will play. So we'll see how that goes. While we are waiting for her, I'll give a couple of updates on where the game is at. So I'm taking a short break on working on Zero E. I've been working on it for most of the week, but I took a little bit of a break to start retooling the quick start guide. So that way it's easier to run and clearer and teaches the game faster. I'm very happy to say that my time running the Ashcan edition and having other people read it and try it and, kind of ask questions has really been helpful. So I've developed the game quite a bit in the 0E range. And we will be seeing the fruits of that starting in the quick start guide. So we're currently I'm currently working that out as we go. A lot of it is honestly going and trimming fat. Zero E is a substantially different beast from the Ashcan. It doesn't say the Ashcan was bad, but as I was playing it, and as people were asking me questions, and I kind of as I was showing it to people, to a greater variety of people, which you can see on this YouTube channel. Fortunately, they've been very, very, very nice about letting me record. It became evident that things could be streamlined in a way that would be fun without sacrificing any of the fun. So we're currently hard at work at that, but I finally got enough data to consider actually revising the quick start. And that's just going to be much punchier. It's going to show a bit more of the engine under the hood right out the gate. I think people would appreciate that more probably. So we're going to do that. And then at some point, we're going to get Zero E out. I'll probably do like an interim release between Ashcan and Zero E that will let people see where the game is going. And so the big thing that's changing between the Ashcan and Zero E is there's a lot more support for the setting. There's a lot more support for setting creation. There's a lot more support for running the setting for the Weaver. There's a couple of tools that more or less push things right off the bat. If you guys wouldn't mind, give me a second. I'm just going to go dead for a second. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Just had to see to somebody. It did not. Sorry, I'm sending a quick text. Sorry about this, guys. Sometimes stuff comes up, and it's not like anyone else is going to be here by the look of it. We're just talking. Don't know where anybody is. Well, I know where Jesse and Cal are. The schedule stuff happens. Tasha was supposed to be here, so I'm bothering her. We'll see what happens. Anyway, we may just start a half hour late. We'll see. Anyway, so yeah, the big thing was that the big change is that there's more support on the Weaver's end. The game is going to be set up to drop people in to a situation that they have to make bad immediately. So we're going to start with what are called factions. There's 5 factions in every Crescendo game at the beginning of the game. And they're general factions like, necessities, stuff like that. The Weaver either picks, makes one, he makes 5 factions, presents them to the players. The players each pick one that they like, and the others are destroyed. Everything that they support is no longer accessible. So, like, if they decide to keep the government faction, okay, cool. The government, let's say you have 3 players, and they pick government, church, and industry. That's great, but now the raw materials and the food that civilization needs isn't accessible anymore. And all of society is trying to figure out how to either get those materials back or how to take them from somewhere else. And the entirety of that particular epic will be around will be around the lack of those resources to a very strong degree. This is pretty well borne out inside of our source material. And especially with Wolf, in this particular case with Wolf, I was really going with Book of the Long Sun, and then Book of the Short Sun after it, really, as my primary texts in creating the setup. So right out the gate, things are going to be very, very, very chaotic. Society is in some form of decay, and the setting the game won't have to none of the games of Crescendo, if you're following the core, are probably going to be like a strict good versus evil sort of a setup. The more epic nature will come out later, but at the beginning it's a lot of resources and whatnot. So that's kind of our that's where the setup is going more than anything. So that's what we got. If Tasha isn't here in 5, the Weaver will play. We'll figure out what the Weaver will do. with the absence of players. So that's currently where it's at there. So the quick start won't really necessarily go in and showcase a lot of like the factional stuff, but a lot of how to run a chapter of Crescendo is going to be much clearer. It'll be a lot easier and more exciting, I think. So I'm going to be showing that particular aspect off a lot more in the quick start. Quick start should be out, give it about 2 weeks at the longest. I have to have people check the text and make sure I didn't mess anything up. I may even try laying it out and have my wife, who's totally not taking something back there, look at it and tell me how bad it is. But so that's where that's going. I think, what else can I throw out there while we're waiting to see if anyone will show up? What do we got? What do we got? I was working on Galahad's for a little while, and then everything happened. So I lost 3 people in a matter of a couple of weeks, and that really that added up. So wasn't really able to. A lot of the wind's been taken out of my sails when it comes to developing other stuff. But fortunately, I might start working on that a little bit more as we go along, as I kind of get my energy back. So yeah, that's pretty much what we got there. So I have brought my cards. We'll see how they come into play today. All right, today's the Chariot. I forgot about that. I thought I had another one out, but I didn't. That's inconvenient. I've been thinking about the wrong one the whole time. Oh well, they'll still be fun. We'll make this work. Okay. And I got to be on Driving and Dragons after Daniel very rightfully roasted an incredibly bad take that I had. A very, very, very bad take that I had. Well, more of a poorly put take. I still think I'm right, but I didn't explain it too well. So the medium is the message, so it doesn't matter if the thought in my head was actually decently sound. I put it badly, and I didn't communicate it. So regardless of whether it's good or bad, whether or not the abstract is good or bad is totally irrelevant because the tweet itself was horrible. So I went on, and we had a lovely conversation. I had a great time. I do think it funny that it's funny talking to other people on YouTube. This was never something I really intended to do. I've been, pulling people onto my channel, been trying to go on other people's channels to try and show off this game, and none of this has been what I expected at all. In a good way. Everyone's actually been really, really, really nice for the most part. It's been a really, really good time, and I'm really humbled by the people who have been very gracious to me. It's been really incredible. It really, really is. So, all right. Well, it looks like we're not gonna get anyone on tonight. Oh well, it happens. Be a few more weeks. So while they're away, Weaver will play. Let's see here. So we're gonna figure this out. I want to do that. I think I'm good here. I think I'm good with this one. All right, so we're gonna do book 3, chapter 8. Watch as I give up and Tasha shows up. Just watch. That's just the way it goes, isn't it? All right. So first things first. I think what we're gonna do, we're just gonna have this thing that we're gonna go to each. We're gonna go to each locale. So what I'm doing, or I've decided to do, the way that this goes is that the chapters of Crescendo inside of a setting are supposed to be highly disruptive. They're supposed to be the highly disruptive thing, and they are not supposed to be like nice, like they're not business as usual. They're definitely supposed to be totally shaking up whatever is going on. So one last message to Tasha. Make sure that she's all right. Definitely. Okay. Well. All right. So we're first gonna start. With each locale that has been in play. So I'm gonna just like 4 or 5 different locales that I can sit down and make trouble in, and advance things and make them worse. So what we're gonna do is going to make sure that everything's all right. Oh well. All right, so we're gonna start. We're gonna go back to Soda City. You know, the center of all homes. And we are going to go see what happened there. So this system that I've devised is based off of tarot cards. So for the session was the Chariot. So taking you away to different places, using the animals of the earth as the flyers. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna set up the same tableau for each locale. So that way everything has the same general thematic container, which means that the beliefs of the players, because the cards are being drawn based off the gods that take interest in the player's beliefs. So this is all in response to the player's beliefs. So the player's beliefs are indirectly shaping the setting. And this indirect thing is very, very, very important. And at some point, we may get into why that's very important. Because anyone from a Burning Wheel or Hearts of Wulin background or even Torchbearer is going to be like, dude, why indirect? Well, I'll at some point we'll get into that. So we're gonna pull book number +1, Minor Arcana, and since these are Dungeons and Dragons, they have nice, pretty pictures on them. So first things first, the Chariot. That is going to. Everybody is gone. Oh well. Okay. All right. So first things first, the Chariot. That's the big overarching container. So we're gonna go to Soda City, which currently has an almost infinite amount of undead streaming out of it, and we're going to line them up. So the Ace of Strength is the first one. The 10 of Charisma is the second one. the Four of Wisdom is the third one, and the Ace of Intelligence is the fourth one. So I'm going to set these up. I don't really have a camera that can show you this, so I apologize in advance. But Ace of Strength with this guy that's meditating. Ten of Charisma with these two funny-looking gnome things in front of a tree with fruit. The Four of Wisdom, more gnomes, more meditation, with meditation, and the Ace of Intelligence with this wizard-looking dude with a book. All within the encompassment of the chariot, which is generally considered as sort of a taking off from the earthly to the heavenly sort of a deal. Other thing to consider, at least in my setting, there's Aeus, the fell moon, who is always up there messing around with people. He is currently waned, so his fell influence is not felt upon the setting currently. So we're going to have this meditation thing. Why not? We'll have a procession. The clergy had sort of a, you know what? Why not? The clergy had sort of a walking around the city of Jericho moment with their horns. So they got some horns and made magic music. Made magical holy music. Why not? Made magical holy music. Which, so they made magical holy music. This then will say that it led to the 10 of Charisma. So we got this, like, these little people next to a tree with a bear and a stag in the background. I thought that was pretty cool. So what we'll do is we'll say that, why not? We'll have, we'll do the stuff that Curry did during the set, during the in-between journaling session. We'll have it to where magical fairy trees with fragrant fruits sprung up around the city. So that's card 2. We got then this meditation one, people who ate the fruit became wise and cunning. And could fight the undead better. And never got tired. So I'm just sort of following the prompts and seeing what I can come up with. And then last but not least, we have the Ace of Intelligence with the wizard using his stuff to pull magic out of the book. Because of that, they learned the undead were actually perverted fire before the sun solidified them. So there's this idea that they're having to encounter that without light, it's more or less sort of a rough, sort of a chaos. And so what the undead were before the light hit them, before the light of the moon or the light of the sun hit them, was actually a deep purple flame. So I'm going to put purple in there. This purple is a sign of perversion in this particular setting. All right, so that's what we got there, right? So now the people know, through their increased wisdom, because of these magical fruit trees that they pulled up out of the ground from Fairy, they now know that the undead hordes were not originally solid things, but were purple flames. Now this isn't me like really inventing all that much. If you go and if you check out the blog, all the things 123.blogspot.com, and take a look at the session reports I've been writing up there, you will find that this was established a couple of weeks ago, actually, that the undead, before the light of day hit them, were actually insubstantial purple flames. And it's only when they come up into the air that's been hit by the sun that they solidify into the form they're in. We should probably put a fifth one for Chariot. So I guess we'll put that at like the end, sort of a thing. So the Chariot. So this causes a substantial shift. So so there's this like substance inside of the setting that's called solidified flame. I've brought it up a few times. Again, mostly in the between and the session reports, and people, like the players, are aware of this. Like, I'm not really springing anything on them. The clergy begin processions with solidified flame because Elpida's flame, which they can get like relics of it, that's why it's called solidified flame, acts as sunlight. It gives off the same physical properties, or at least it has the same physical properties as sunlight. So the clergy begin processing solidified flame and setting up underground shrines. Pushing the dark back. Because they don't like solidified flame anyway. So instead of being able to just come up as these quick little insubstantial things, the solidified flame actually slows the zombies down and makes it to where a lot of them don't even make it that far because they need sustenance, and if you keep putting these solidified flames, it's going to have a problem. So the other location that we really have to care about is Soonfor, because that's where tomorrow night's session of Shadow Dark is probably going to be happening. It's their home base. Soonfor is a fort about I think it's I'm trying to remember my thing. It's about 100 miles to the southwest. It's probably 75 as the crow flies, but you don't go through the woods, so you're going to go around, and that adds a pretty substantial amount of time. So we're going to do Soonfor now. Soonfor, when we last had it, was not doing well. There were some riots going on because the soldiers were taking advantage of the now very, very, very vulnerable surrounding people coming in for refuge. So we go back, and we go back to the Ace of Strength, and we start over. So here, going to have it to where we'll have someone, I guess, be enlightened by the gods, because why not? This looks like pretty, like, something's going into this guy. So we'll say that, we'll say a monk named Abel. We'll say a monk named Abel was chosen as the warrior of Elpida. So Elpida herself is acting, causing him to be her flame knight. All right, so we got this. We got that going on. And this is all just in addition to whatever the players are doing. So probably going to be another 2 weeks. No, it'll be longer. No, it might not. Kind of depends. I'll have to work that out with everybody. Probably have to work that out. All right. I love family visits. All right, so now we've got this fruit thing. We'll have it to where dryads present undead repelling fruits to Sir Abel. So he's had his first adventure. Who brings them to the Lord of Sunfor. So these fruits, the undead hate them, and they start planting them around. Next thing we've got is this guy who is... Next thing we got is this gnome fella sitting there with the fox. We're going to have it to where... we got the door, we got the tree. The defenders of the forest begin coming out and attacking these undead. So that'll they don't necessarily help Sunfor. There's just, they're watching. They've seen everything going on, and they've decided enough is enough. They don't necessarily protect the town. They don't necessarily help Sunfor. They're attacking the zombies. Not necessarily. They're not necessarily defending Sunfor. But they are helping indirectly. Okay. And then finally, we've got the Ace of Intelligence. And so what's going on there? You got the book, you got the fire. We're going to have it to where It looked kind of sinister to me. So we're going to have an evil necromancer manages to wrest control of the hordes attacking Sunfor. An evil necromancer manages to wrest control of the hordes attacking Sunfor from Legion. And if you remember, Legion was a whole thing of souls that had been murdered by King Melny, and he's sworn revenge against the living, or it's sworn, and it kind of spread itself out across the undead horde. This guy, we'll call him, what should we call him? We'll call him Lacey. That sounds French enough. It's not actually French, but it sounds close enough. One of my players in Shadow Dark would be very happy with that. And then finally, last but not least, the Chariot. Sir Abel begins to do battle with Lacian. And we'll say the heavenly beasts come to his aid. Well, that's kind of cool. Okay, so those are the two major locales. So I've sufficiently advanced the story in all of those. So that way, whenever we come back to Chapter 9, things are different for the players. So they weren't around, so I just advanced things. I just went off the cards. Like, hey, this is what I got. This is what I see happening. It was a series of actually pretty decent events for once. It's nice to, not be totally screwed all the time. So we're going to call it here for tonight. So it's too bad, but life happens, schedules happen, and games have to be able to survive this sort of thing, people. And the way it does it is you keep the momentum going. So if you like what I was doing here, leave a comment, and I'll see you for Chapter 9 once schedules work out better. Good night, everybody. I'm Spider for Crescendo Games. This has been a great time. Good night.